Hey friends, today's reading comes from Colossians 3, verses 23 and 24. It says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord and not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." Now, this is an interesting passage, kind of toward the end of the letter to the Colossians, and very common in Paul's day. There would have been something called household codes that basically described how families and how households were supposed to run. Now, the interesting part, though, is that most Roman or Greek household codes would have been very patriarchal, very dad, father figure centered. It would have meant that the father could kind of act however he wanted to. He could treat everybody however he wanted to because he was the head of the house and everybody just had to be okay. If he had servants, they just had to obey regardless of what kind of person he was. And if they didn't, there could be serious consequences. But Paul turns the household code on its head. He talks about mutual submission. He talks about love. He talks about treating one another well. And right at the heart is this passage that we read today. It says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as if you were working for the Lord, because that's exactly what you're doing. He's talking to servants who have masters that may or may not follow Jesus, who may or may not be nice people. And he says, regardless of what your role in the household is, mother, father, child, servant, regardless, your job at the end of the day is to live in a way as if you're living for the Lord. You're working as if you're working for the Lord. You're parenting as if you're parenting for the Lord. You're being a child that's honoring and respecting and obeying their parents. You're a servant that works well. So the same thing is true for us today. Whatever you do it as if you're working for the Lord. Even if you've got a teacher that you just can't stand. Even if you can't really get behind the kind of personality that your boss has, or it's a really difficult work environment, work as if you're working for the Lord, because as Paul would say at the end, it is the Lord Christ you are serving. And when you work in that way, when you give your whole self to it, you are honoring Jesus. You are lifting him up and you are worshiping him through what you do. So I pray this blesses you. I'll see you tomorrow. Grace and peace, my friends.